Welcome to the Global Quilt Connection, where you will meet quilt teachers from around the world who are offering independent enrollment workshops and events. Have you here? The first teacher we'd like to present is Frances Arnold.
Hey there! Welcome to Frances Quilts. My name is Frances Arnold and I love the art of quilting. Of course, my favorite part is being in the studio creating new designs, but the thing that holds a close second is getting to share my knowledge with others. In particular, I love to inspire and encourage quilters, whether they are new to the art or have been at it for many, many years. As part of this desire, I write a daily blog which you can view on my website at francesquilts.com, and that's Frances with an E. There I post inspirations, motivations, ideas, demonstrations, a few mistakes, and anything else that comes to mind. I currently present 4 programs that are PowerPoint based and appropriate for online group meetings. You can find them all on the Workshops and Talks tab on my website. Let me tell you about my personal favorites. I once read a quote that said, "We take pictures to record our personal vision of the world." Since I've been a quilter for well over half my life, I think that I am truly viewing the world through quilt colored glasses, and that is the name and theme of my presentation. In the hour that we are together, I take you on a few of my travels, from England to India and on to Turkey and China. I talk about my experiences in these countries and also about the quilts that were inspired there. Remember, it isn't so much about the travel as it is about finding inspiration in the everyday things around you. I also present some techniques for turning your inspirations into beautiful memory quilts. I work hard to keep you interested, engaged, and laughing. Finally, I come from a long line of quilters, and I have a trunk show presentation called Climbing the Creative Family Tree, or how I got from there to here. In this presentation, I trace my creative genetic material back to my great-grandmother and talk about how our creative journey evolves over the years and even the generations. I hope that you will check out my resources and that you will consider me for your next group meeting. I can be reached through my blog and website at francesquilts.com, on Facebook and Instagram at Frances Quilts, or via email at francesquilts@gmail.com. I look forward to meeting you soon.
Thank you, Frances. The next teacher is Kelly Ashton.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Ashton of Kelly Quilter Designs. I live on the Kansas side of the greater Kansas City metro area. Not that my location matters all that much right now, since COVID-19 has brought our quilty get-togethers to a screeching halt. So now we're doing things a little bit differently and getting together virtually. There really are some upsides to virtual gatherings, such as no matter where we are in the world, through technology, we can spend time together talking about and doing what we love. And from the comfort of our own homes, we all have the best seat in the house. And my personal favorite, when we get together virtually, we don't have to wear masks. So, a little bit about me. I am a passionate quilt maker who loves to talk about and teach about quilts as much as I love to make them. I'm a quilt designer, an author, a color lover, and a fervent fabric collector. Not necessarily in that order. I authored the book Hexagons, Diamonds, Triangles, and More, and I love working with and teaching about these shapes, as well as other patchwork and quilting techniques. I'm currently offering 2 presentations virtually. The first is 60 Degrees of Inspiration, Hexagons, Diamonds, Triangles, and More, the presentation that dovetails with my book. In this presentation, inspiration abounds as we enjoy comparing a variety of antique and vintage quilt tops, along with many quilts, of course, that I've designed and created. My second presentation is called Fussy and Fabulous, Let the Fabric Work for You. This presentation is instructional as well as informational and entertaining, but beware, after this presentation, you may never look at fabric in the same way again. I offer a variety of virtual workshops, many around the 60-degree family of shapes. I also offer some workshops on fussy cutting, both using the 60-degree shapes and also using squares. I teach machine quilting on the domestic machine, specifically my fabric, thread, and Zen class, and more. You'll find much more detailed descriptions and photographs of my presentations and workshops on my website at kellyquilter.com/virtual. And you can email me with any questions you might have at kelly@kellyquilter.com. Please check out my Facebook and my Instagram feeds. And I would love to visit your guild and share my quilts and workshops with you. Thank you so much to Sue and Lyric for creating Global Quilt Connections, and thank you all for watching today. Take care and happy quilting.
Thanks, Kelly. Next up is Kim Brownell.
I'm Kim Brownell, the Wacky Doodle Quilter. Welcome! I'm based in the Sacramento, California area, and right now I'm scheduling both virtually and in person for teaching and lecturing. So I look forward to presenting for all your guilds out there. I offer 5 lectures. The first one is the Wacky Doodle Trunk Show. It's an eclectic journey you soon won't forget. I offer a second lecture called Challenges, What to Do. It's basically an 8-step program for challenges, how to approach challenges. One of my newer lectures is the third lecture I call Wacky Fusion. It's basically the challenges lecture, 30-minute lecture, and I fuse it with 30 minutes of the trunk show. 1 hour of fun. My fourth lecture is Yes, You Can Put It on Your Quilt. We look at all different kinds of glues, embellishments, and just basically take a tour of the glues you can use on fabric. My last lecture I offer is my newest one, and it's Wacky Organizing and Studio Tour. I invite you into my home and studio, and we take a virtual tour. You learn all kinds of organizing tips, tricks, and tools. All kinds of good information in that one. I also offer 4 workshops. Have to learn my numbers. My first workshop is quilted jigsaw puzzles. It's an easy stained glass technique. We pick one of my patterns, and it's easy, simple, and fun, just like a jigsaw puzzle to put together. My next workshop is the fabric blackout, and basically it's a whole cloth quilt. No piecing, no applique, just easy, simple, and fun. My third workshop is my refillable notebook workshop. We use my pattern, and it fits a composition notebook, so you can replace it and put it in each time you fill up one of your notebooks. My last workshop is textile fun. We just basically play with all kinds of fabrics and embellishments. We make a small postcard style quilt, and we mount it to a piece of canvas and put it on display. You can also do it with a piece of jewelry or a memory piece that you have sitting around. Let everybody see your nice memories. And again, I'm Kim Brownell, the Wacky Doodle Quilter. I would love to present and teach for your guild. I look forward to seeing you all.
Thank you, Kim. Anna Buzzalino is next.
I am Anna Buzzalino, an artist, teacher, author, and lecturer living in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I offer virtual live workshops and lectures directly from my studio. My workshops are suitable to all skill levels and can be customized to meet the interests and needs of your guild. Many of my workshops offer optional kits to save the students the need to source, shop, and prepare the supplies needed for the workshop. There are no set patterns to my surface design workshops. Instead, in a relaxed atmosphere, I share step-by-step processes so every student creates something personal and unique. You can find more information at my website at annabuzzalino.com. My trunk show lecture is called The Quilter in Me and is my 33-year journey throughout quilt making, from traditional beginnings to my current work as an art quilter and surface designer. COVID-19 has changed our lives. We have been enveloped in a tsunami of news about the virus. In creativity in times of COVID, I share my views, together with some experts, on how to stay creative and motivated in times of stress, and how important it is to our well-being and mental health. I share ideas that will help you stay connected with your own creativity and find the motivation to move forward. Monoprinting without a press is one of my most popular workshops. In this 4 or 6 hour workshop, I share all my knowledge of printing on a jelly plate and a bonus portion of the class where students learn how to make their own stamps, stencils, and masks. An extension of this workshop is sophisticated monoprinting, where we explore the use of stencils to create pattern and compositions. 2 of my most popular workshops have to do with imagery. Introduction to Transfer Artist Paper covers the ins and outs of this wonderful transfer paper printed with your own images in an inkjet printer. Make Your Quilt Sing with Digital Imagery, Editing Photos in PowerPoint is a demo workshop where I share my screen and show you how to edit photos in PowerPoint, from removing backgrounds to adding filters, changing color, and much more. For information on these and other workshops, please visit my website. I have written extensively on the techniques that I use to produce my work, and these articles have appeared in Quilting Arts magazine and A Needle Pulling Thread, among others. I also have appeared in Quilting Arts TV and have 2 workshop DVDs. This is Anna Buzzalino. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to my website at annabuzzalino.com and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Now we will hear from Tina Curran.
I'm Tina Curran from Studio City, California. I'm a quilt pattern designer, as well as a quilt lecturer and workshop instructor. Perhaps you've seen my work. It's been featured in quilt magazines as well as in national quilt shows, and it's on Etsy.com. That's where I sell the patterns I design to quilters all around the world. Let me tell you about my lectures and workshops. All the details are on my website, but to just highlight them, I have 4 lectures. The first is a traditional trunk show. The second is a trunk show that focuses on quilts no longer in my possession. They're quilts that I made but have either been sold, gifted, or donated. The third is my design lecture. That's where as a quilt pattern designer, I break down my process and share it to hopefully inspire others to design their own quilts. And the last one, the fourth, is a talk about my career path and how I went from corporate marketing to being a professional quilter, and all that I had to do to make that career change happen. As for my workshops, I'm a vet now of both in-person and over Zoom. I use a 2-camera system for my Zoom workshops, which seems to work out very well. I offer over 25 workshops. They're all my own patterns, and they're all project-based. As for the types of projects I like to make, you can see I like smaller quilts. I also like quilted pillows. I think these are the types of projects that are far more manageable and far less likely to become one more UFO. Let me walk you through my workshops.
To start, I offer a couple of workshops to make flower or garden quilts. I also offer a variety of flag quilts as workshops, both red, white, and blue flag quilts and floral flag quilts. In my herringbone workshop, you can opt to make either a throw-size quilt or a 20-inch quilted pillow. These are not as hard as they look to make. I offer projects that use classic or regular piecing techniques. I also offer several projects that are made with paper piecing. Here are some of them, and here are some more. Lastly, I offer 9 different paper-pieced holiday-themed quilted pillows as workshops. The patterns for all these projects are available in my shop on Etsy.com, either printed on paper and sent via the mail, or as an instantly downloadable PDF. That makes it easy for students to get their patterns delivered right to their homes. Over the years, I've received wonderful feedback about my lectures and workshops, and I've had many repeat customers. I think it's because I try to be low maintenance, very user-friendly, and highly encouraging. So if you want a meaty lecture and/or to make something wonderful and have fun doing it, please check out my website and contact me. Again, I'm Tina Curran. Here's my contact info. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Tina. Next up is Susan Edmonson.
Hey there, I'm Susan Edmonson. I'm coming to you from my studio today in Concord, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. and I would like to talk to you about what I enjoy creating. If you have any questions about anything today, please visit my website. It's susanedmondsondesigns.com. And here are a few of the things that I like to do. My specialties are probably hand embroidery. This is one of my fabric books. This one's called Doodle Blooms, which is done with Curran or Inktense pencils, either one. And this little book here is another one of my newest creations, and this one is called Sprout Like a Wildflower. So I've included lots of different techniques in my work. I do lots of stump work, which is considered 3D embroidery, and I also do lots of crazy quilting things. This is my crazy quilt necklace. It's called Artful Crazy Quilt Necklace. And then some of my other things that I like to make are these. These are considered, I call them prayer flags. You could frame them. You could do different things with them. This one's called Let It Be, B-E-E. And then this is my sunflower one. And I have series of these. I have lots of series of things. This one is my Seeds and Pods series. So we embellish a real silk cocoon. We do three-dimensional stitches here, three-dimensional leaves, and lots of different things. I use all my fabrics that I'm using in these mostly are hand-dyed, and hand-dyed laces and those type things. This one is my coneflower piece. Another one of my favorite pieces is my little house on the hill. This one is framed, so it just gives you an idea of different things you can do with it. Most of my work is small, so I enjoy working little, and it's something that can be finished normally in a relatively short amount of time. This is another Seeds and Pods. And this is actually a mimosa pod. And then this one is one of my Garden Girls patterns, and we do photo transfer and then lots of three-dimensional stitches on that. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you. And again, my website is susanedmondsondesigns.com.
Thanks, Susan. Lisa Erlandson is next.
Hi, I'm Lisa Erlandson, and welcome to my world. I am a compulsive quilt collector, and in order to justify my possibly too large collection of antique quilts, I have studied and worked hard to develop several quilt-related specialties. I am a quilt maker, as well as a speaker, certified quilt appraiser, quilt historian, and a judge with over 25 years experience. And I love to travel. I would really rather share my quilts with you in person, where you could touch them and really get up close to them. But for now, I have chosen a few of my lectures and created virtual presentations. The great news is that you can get a really close-up look at these quilts sitting right in front of your computer. So let me get my screen shared and we will look at what I've got going here. Here is a sample of some of the quilts that you could see in my presentations. I really love quilts. I love people who love quilts, and I really love to share my quilts with people who love quilts. Here are some of the presentations that I can share my quilts with you in. Here's a look at what you can do with vintage or antique quilt blocks, covering the how-tos as well as tips and the pitfalls that you could encounter. Stars have graced quilts for centuries, so we should learn and enjoy and continue to create them. Is it true that there's nothing new under the sun? You have an antique or vintage quilt top. Can you quilt it? Should you quilt it? Being a certified quilt appraiser for over 20 years, I would love to share the process of determining a quilt's value. In this presentation, you can learn some tips to make your best quilt. Women have managed to express opinions, beliefs, and provide social and political commentary through quilts for decades, maybe even centuries. Do you have a quilt that is in need of life-saving measures? You can learn them here. When we can get together again, I would really love to travel and meet you face to face and bring my quilts to visit you in person. Thanks, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Lisa. Next up is Julia Graves.
Hello, I'm Julia Graves with Special Occasion Quilts. Thanks so much for joining. I love quilting and I love teaching. My goal is for my students to have fun creating and to create the quilt they want through great use of value and color. I have all the information you need on my website, soquilts.com. So let me tell you about some of my most popular. In color exploration, we'll explore those classic color combinations, but also some techniques on how to fix combinations that might seem a little off. We'll also talk about really cool color effects. In my quilting journey, I'll share how I got started and grew as both a quilter and an artist. Other lectures include landscapes, memory and personalizing quilts, community and faith and fiber, and my newest, Make It Your Own, where we'll talk about easy to understand design principles for quilters. For classes in color exploration, we go hands-on and create beautiful color combinations. I have classes on special effects with color, like how to achieve transparency. In Luscious Luster, we'll look at how we create light moving across that quilt. And Rainbows and Raindrops, we look at the color spectrum. In Shimmering Triangles, we're going to get that great shimmer and movement just with careful placement of value. In Amazing Abstracts, we're going to create this movement and drama, but with simple, straight seam sewing. No curves. I teach this in a one-day format and also a multi-day format. I have loved zooming across the country these past few months, and I am able to do everything that a guild would need, and I can set it all up. I have online shopping where you can sign up for classes I offer for individuals, or you can shop for color tools, patterns, kits, and more. I would like to thank Sue and Lyric for setting this up, and thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Julia. Next, we will hear from Gunnel Hag.
Hello, I'm Gunnel Hag, originally from Sweden, but I've lived most of my life in Toronto, Canada. I print and dye all the fabrics for my quilts. After studying textiles in England and Sweden, I set up my own business in Toronto, designing a line of screen-printed fashion and working in film and theater, creating printed fabrics for costumes. I also spent several years teaching fabric printing in art colleges here in Ontario, as well as giving lectures and teaching workshops at quilt guilds, conferences, and of course, in my own studio.
I'm offering 2 online lectures and also an online workshop. The lectures are Printed and Dyed Fabrics, A Journey of Beauty, and How to Use a Potato Masher. In the lecture Printed and Dyed Fabrics, A Journey of Beauty, I take you on a journey to see the magic of color and pattern in printed fabrics from around the world, at least from some of the countries that I have visited. You will see hand-printed and painted fabrics that you can create yourself to use in your quilts or other projects. And I show you some of my own art quilts. Sit back, get inspired, and just enjoy. In the How to Use the Potato Masher lecture, I show you how you can print on fabric using ordinary found objects. I love printing with household items, and I must have more than 30 different potato mashers for creating a variety of patterns and textures, just like this one. The sole of a boot, a golf ball, and irons. No textured thing is safe. Everyday objects become the tools of colorful fabrics for your quilts. Make Your Mark is an online workshop. I show you how to make print blocks using stuff you have around your house, like string and cotton swabs. You will see how you can print beautiful fabrics by using ordinary household objects. And of course, potato mashers. There are more workshops on the way, so please visit my website to take a look for those. I have written 2 instructional books about how to create visual texture. They're available at my Etsy shop. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Gunnel. The next teacher we'll hear from is Michelle Jackson.
Hi, my name is Michelle Jackson. Welcome to my quilt fashion studio here in the Sandia Mountains of New Mexico. I'm an award-winning fiber artist, lecturer, and teacher, and I've appeared as a guest on the Quilt Show with Alex Anderson and Ricky Timms. I remember as a kid putting 2 pieces of colored construction paper together, as if they were characters in a play acting out some sort of fairy tale, and I could make that magic happen. I could tell a story and make people feel something with value and color, and that's what I'll help you do. I offer open enrollment, live online workshops with video presentations and written instructions, all available from my website, quiltfashions.com. Light the Way with Color is a 2-day workshop with an emphasis on value and color. In this class, you'll learn how to take your favorite landscape or still life photo and make it into a beautiful art quilt. Before the class, you'll have access to a video on how to choose the perfect photo. I'll show you how to do a value study and how you can manipulate value to direct the eye of the viewer through your piece. I have some color exercises that'll help you understand the feelings connected to various colors. Once you understand how you can choose colors to add the emotions you want, you'll be able to tell that story. And just in case you're still not comfortable with color, I have 2 fun and simple ways to help let loose the color diva in you. I'll show you how to use Fusible to put it all together and how to finish your piece and quilt it. Light the Portrait with Color is the same as Light the Way with Color, except there's an additional video on finding and making fabrics in flesh colors, which is available before the workshop starts, and additional videos and instructions on how to make a mouth and the perfect eyes. Of course, I'm always available through email to answer any questions before and after the workshop. The written material is yours, and the videos are available for you to watch as many times as you like for a month after the last workshop. So come and have fun with me, and we'll make beautiful art quilts together. You can find all my workshops on my website, quiltfashions.com.
Thanks, Michelle. Dana Jones is up next.
Hello, I'm Dana Jones, former Quilters Newsletter editor, former Sockwood Journal editor. Thank you, Lyric and Sue, for this opportunity. I love to teach technique classes. In my newest class, you'll learn to make foundations for familiar blocks, to design your own blocks, and to create pictorial foundation patterns from photos. I offer my color and design workshops from a half day to multiple sessions with home play between classes. I bring my fine arts training to teaching color. I believe everyone has an innate sense of color. They just have to find it. When I teach design, I apply my training in graphic design. I enjoy teaching basic skills. My Quilting 101 class moves from fabric selection and cutting through finishing, including binding. I love foundation piecing. Teaching the tips, tools, and tricks for success is fun. I found handwork soothing during the pandemic. I'll teach you multiple ways to prepare shapes for English paper piecing and 3 ways to join the pieces. I teach patterns I've designed. My most popular class is my crane quilt, which I designed after a visit to Hiroshima. In Will It Go Round in Circles, you'll learn to inset circles using just 8 pins, no matter the size of the circles. You'll learn several ways to piece 1/4-inch borders accurately. The center blocks of Geese Over Manhattan are fussy cut from a panel. This quilt is a great way to highlight special fabrics. Pam Rocco, a columnist for Quilters newsletter when I was editor, taught me this fun technique. All it takes is a rotary cutter and sewing machine. No rulers, no pins. I have a knack for deciphering difficult patterns, so I teach intricate quilts by great designers like Jen Kingwell. In these classes, you can focus on fabric choices and piecing, not reading the patterns. Coming soon, I'll be teaching Elizabeth Hartman's Patchwork City, which she designed for each quilter to personalize. I lived in New York City for 20 years, so mine had to have taxicabs. I couldn't find the right fabric, so I made it. We'll talk about how to do that. I offer 4 lectures. The most popular is the story of the quilt makers on a tiny 13-acre island in the central Philippines. This lecture is highlights from the book I wrote after spending time on the island. Equally popular is my lecture on Japanese fabrics based on interviews I did with 4 leading Japanese quilters. You'll see their quilts and lots of fabric. I offer open enrollment classes. See times and how to register on my website. I'd love to speak and teach for your Quilt Bee or Guild. Check my website for details. Thanks again, Lyric and Sue.
Thank you, Dana. Now we'll hear from Mary Mahoney.
Hello, my name is Mary Mahoney. I'm the owner of the Telltale Artist here in Maryland. I am a self-taught fiber artist and have had several of my quilts accepted into national jury shows over the past 7 years. I have developed a quilting technique that I would love to share with your guild. I have lectured on my technique at local quilt guilds for the past few years. Lecturing via Zoom is newer, but has been a wonderful experience. The participants have expressed excitement at being able to examine the pieces up close, although virtually. I offer a 75-minute PowerPoint-supported lecture over Zoom, which my Zoom has a 100-person capacity. I will review my own personal history with quilting, and then move on to my photorealistic quilted homes. I share pieces I have created and the sparks that led to my innovations. I then transition to my quilted portraits, which I create utilizing a similar process. Not only do I share my pieces virtually, but I also review the technique I developed to create them, complete with a video demonstration. The next offering I have is a 4-hour class where I teach my students to create their own 11x17 quilted home portraits ready for framing. I limit these classes to 10 students at a time so I can provide the one-on-one assistance prior to and during the class, along with any follow-up that might be needed. Each student will work on their own subject matter. We can all create different pieces because the process that we follow remains the same. Students will complete the workshop confident in this simple technique that will allow them to create their own unique pieces of art. My process is simple, and so are the supplies. Scrap fabric no bigger than a fat quarter, craft stabilizer, heat and bond light, scissors, tape, pens, and iron, and a blow-up of the photo of the subject matter are all that is needed for this workshop. The paper blow-up of the original photo serves as a template, which allows for an exact rendering of the image in fabric. There is no guesswork with this process. It is all tracing, cutting, and ironing Here are some examples of the quilted homes my students, after one class with me, have completed on their own. I have been blown away by their creativity and talent. I can be booked through my website, The Telltale Artist. I look forward to hearing from your guild. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next up is Valerie Prideaux.
Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Valerie Prideaux and I'm honored to be able to present today via this platform. It's winter here in Toronto and being in lockdown at home, this seems like a great opportunity to explore new ideas in quilting. I'd like to send out a special thank you to Lyric and Sue for setting up the Global Quilt Connection. What a great way to reach all those quilters and guilds looking for inspiration and ideas. My trunk show features the humble tumbler block. As soon as a quilter makes their very first quilt, they begin to generate leftover fabric, and this is the start of their stash. Soon we all start looking for fast and easy ways to use our stash, and this block fits the bill perfectly. You can make these tumbler blocks while making another quilt, or spend some time cutting blocks while sorting your fabrics. Before you know it, you're at a great jumping off point. This one block can be used in so many layouts. And color, well, all those incredible colors and fabrics available are just too incredible. Color is such an important element in my quilts that I prefer to work with a simple design and let the color shine. Now, one of the passions in my life is experimenting. My working background is in research and science, and this has suited me perfectly. It's all about researching, testing, developing ideas, trying new things. Once you have an idea, it's set. We have a saying in our lab, it's only work. Well, you can see how this relates to quilting. You have an idea that you play with. When you're happy with it, you decide to follow through. Then you have to do the work and make the quilt. Now, I'm not complaining about the work. Seeing a project come together successfully is incredibly satisfying too. I'll show how arranging this simple block can yield an incredible range of quilts. Simple quilts, traditional, modern quilts, and even art quilts. I'll walk you through over 30 projects that I've made with tumbler blocks. Any quilter will be inspired to give these blocks a try. Now, I know there's nothing better than seeing quilts in real life, but Zoom allows me to actually walk you through my process, see one of these quilts being built step by step, and the choices made along the way. And everyone in the guild gets a front row seat, seeing the quilts up close and in more detail than they would in a guild venue. Because there's just one block, these quilts are suitable for everyone to make. My trunk show is packed with tips and ideas. Bet you can't make just one. To schedule a guild's group presentation, contact me via email, vrprideaux@gmail.com. This trunk show will soon be available for individuals to view as well. You can find all this information on my blog, cozyfunkycool.com, under the Trunk Show tab. I'm so looking forward to sharing these ideas with you. Happy quilting, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, Valerie. Julie Silber is up next.
Hi friends, I'm Julie Silber, and I am not a quilt maker, so I can't teach you anything about how to make them. But I love old quilts, antique and vintage quilts, and I've been around them for over 50 years, collecting them, buying and selling them, writing about them. And I would like to offer to you 3 Zoom lectures that I give, which you can find on my website, www.juliesilberquilts.com. Dearest Quilts, A Collector's Approach is one of my most popular talks. I now do it on Zoom, and you'll see quilts that have never been published and that you've probably never seen before, including the one behind me, a 19th century applique with an absolutely unique border. I'll be showing you lots and lots of quilts that I've collected over the years, and I hope that you will enjoy them, learn from them, and especially be inspired by them. I love all kinds of quilts, but I especially have a soft spot for quilts that are unique in one way or another. And one of the ways the quilts are unique is when traditional designs are put together in some unusual way. And that's what we have on the quilt behind me, circa 1890. And what you can see here are fans, a type of log cabin, and some crazy quilt put together in a way that, I don't know about you, but I've never seen anything like it before, and I'm so happy to share it with you. One of my favorite talks is called Mark My Words, Textiles and Text. I just love quilts that have words on them one way or another, and a lot of quilts do. What's behind me is a redwork quilt, and as you can see by this block, it was made in 1916. Redwork quilts were popular from about 1880 to about 1920. And near the top of this quilt, it's pretty standard. These are commercial patterns and well embroidered. And as you go down, it starts to get a little bit more personal and a little bit more primitive, in fact, quite primitive, until you get to the very bottom right block. I don't know who hit Liz with a pork chop, do you? For keeping them in stitches, America's Funniest Quilts. I always show this one. You can probably guess why. Ever seen a string quilt made like that? And what kind of bird is that anyway? A chirkindoose? Check it out. So I hope you'll invite me to give one of these talks to your group. America's Funniest Quilts, Mark My Words, A Collector's Approach, Dearest Quilts. I'll bring lots and lots of quilts to show you, and not one of them will be a stinker. Thanks very much for the opportunity, Susan and Lyric, and thanks to Joe Cunningham, my pal and cameraman. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Julie. April Sproule will be our last teacher in this webinar.
Hello, I'm April Sproule. I'm a mixed media textile artist and I live in Northern California. Today I'd like to share with you the virtual workshops and presentations that I'm so happy to finally be able to offer to you using the Zoom platform. In all my workshops, we explore how color and design choices can really help each student achieve their own personal creative vision. By learning better decision-making skills, students can boost their confidence and take their work to the next level. Students will also learn many of my favorite tips and techniques that I've learned and developed throughout the years. So let's get started with a quick overview of some of the workshops and presentations that I offer. You can find lots more information on my website at www.sprulestudios.com. In my first workshop, Japanese Boro-inspired stitching, students will have a choice of working on either a piece square, like the one on the left, or a stitch sampler like my piece on the right. Patterns for the sampler are included. In fabric painting with stencils, we will work with some wonderful water-based paints, and I will share the stenciling techniques I've developed and perfected over the years. Students will be amazed at how many different things you can do with even a single stencil. The next offering is the Beautiful Birds Collage Workshop. This is a brand new class, and with birds being my absolute favorite subject matter these days, I can't wait to teach students all I've learned in the last couple of years about drawing and stitching birds. The last workshop I have to share with you today is block printing on fabric. Mark making on fabric just doesn't get any easier than when you're making hand-carved stamps. This process provides immediate gratification when students get to start printing their very own fabric. First, textile art doesn't have to just hang on the walls. Here I'll share examples of my wearable art and accessories while providing insight into my work practice. In transition, letting go of control and perfectionism in my work really freed me up for greater creativity. And here I will tell you why. Collections of my textile art and quilts will also be featured here. In the myth, great artists are not always born that way. For many, it takes years of really hard work to master their medium. Here I share the benefits of developing a regular practice and setting up systems to help your creativity flourish. So now you probably have a much better idea of exactly what I do and what I have to offer. I'd like to offer my thanks to the team at Global Quilt Connection for making the opportunity to present here possible. Please check out my website and social media accounts for more information on all of my offerings. I'd love to work with you in your guild, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, April. Now we have time for questions and answers. And there have been some listed in the chat function. If you have any for our panelists, please go ahead and type them in. So one of the questions that just got typed in was, I'm having trouble getting my guild members to actually sign up for workshops. Zoom hasn't made it any easier.
any suggestions on how to get guild members to participate in workshops? Teachers, do any of you want to say something and answer that question? If none of you do, I will. Okay, Tina, unmute yourself.
I'll take a crack at it. I think what helps is to have projects that do not present the opportunity for another UFO. So perhaps the way to get people involved is smaller projects that they can get their arms around. And that would be my suggestion.
Great. Anybody else? All right. Global Quilt Connection is launching a new website in a couple of weeks. And I encourage all of you guild people, all of you guild program chairs to please go check it out. We will have some resources for you to answer this very question. One of our favorite things to get people involved is give them an easy way in, hold a Zoom sew-in, something that they don't have to pay for, something that will be fun, have activities planned during it, a scavenger hunt, a little bee project, a charity project. Those are really popular. And also, if you have somebody in your guild who is really good at Zoom, it's such a beautiful service to be able to call individuals one by one and help them work their way through Zoom. Okay, next question, teachers. What are some of your favorite things about teaching via Zoom? Lisa, then Kelly.
Okay, I unmuted myself, I think.
You're good.
All right. What I really love is because I do antique quilts, you can get literally like eyeball to fabric with it. And whereas at a guild meeting, we've got people and they're holding the quilt up. And if you're on the front row, you're still not very close to it. And so to me, this gives people that are really interested in what I'm talking about a chance to see, sometimes better than I'm seeing them on the camera or on their computer screens. And so I think that that is just wonderful for everyone.
Thank you. Kelly.
I was going to say very much the same thing. It's been my experience that, especially I do a lot of things with small pieces and with fussy cutting, and it has really allowed the opportunity for literally everybody that is tuned in to be able to see up close and personal exactly what I want to highlight and exactly what I want them to be able to see in the piece. So that's been really wonderful. But I also think it's just really nice for people to be able, especially for workshops, to be in their own workspace. They have all their stuff handy. They have everything right there. And so I just find that Zoom has worked wonderfully, both for lectures and for workshops. I think it's just really convenient. So.
Yeah, I think so too. It's been wonderful. Thank you, Kelly. Susan Edmonson.
Well, for me, most of what I do is hand embroidery in my workshop. So this is one of my pieces that I do. So it's small, but with the hand embroidery, they can see up close how to do the stitches instead of standing around a room where you've got 6 or 8, 10, 20 people standing there in your way, and I have to demo it 3 or 4 times. So for online Zoom classes, it's been really good for hand embroidery type classes. And they have all their stuff. So if they want to go get a little button or a charm or a trinket, they can do that. So it's really been great for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. Kim, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, because you're in your own workshops, everybody's so relaxed. It's just a nice, relaxed, you can walk in and use your own restroom. You can go get a drink or a snack. It's just so nice and relaxing. You can be in your pajamas from the bottom half down and nobody cares. So I highly recommend the Zoom workshops. I love them.
Me too. I've really enjoyed them. Teachers, do any of you have anything else to add? For instance, what is a tip that you can give somebody who's attending the workshop so they can get the most out of it? Anna and then Mary.
one of the things that I really enjoy about teaching via Zoom is because, as has been said before, I am in my own studio and so is everybody else. We can give added value to the student by, if they ask a question about free motion quilting today that happened in a workshop that I was teaching that had not necessarily anything to do with free motion quilting, I can run to my other room and get a few quilts or even a sandwich and show in the machine how to do free motion, which is something that when you are in a class somewhere else, you have the materials that you took to teach that class, but you don't have all the added stuff around you. So I found that very interesting.
It is really nice. Thank you, Anna. Mary, what do you have to add?
Yeah. So of course I agree with what everybody else has been saying, but something people have left off is you can hear. So my husband is hard of hearing. And so when he would come with me to do the local guilds, you know, he would always say, speak up, because I wasn't speaking loud enough. But when you are on your own computer, you can put your headphones in, you can really hear. And he always said to me, that is one of the biggest selling points. That and being able to teach all over the world. You know, I've been to a lot of my local guilds, and the idea that I could be outside of that area is just beyond exciting.
It certainly is. I'm going to read a couple of the things in the chat for you all. One of the ideas that somebody had, and I know a lot of teachers offer this if you hire them to teach, ask them if they'll pop into one of your previous guild meetings for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, and they can say hi to everybody. They can show your guild members live a little bit, you know, hype up their class. And you can't get that in a live workshop, right? You can't fly somebody in just to pitch their class. So this is a wonderful thing. There was something else somebody asked if this is going to be recorded. Of course, yes, you can go to globalquiltconnection.com. Go there first, everybody. Go to globalquiltconnection.com. You can find a lot of things there. But every one of our previous recordings, this is number 7, all of the teachers are there. And also we do encourage all of the teachers to put their individual videos on their websites as well. What was the next question I had? One of the tips that I have for people, for class attendees, is see if you can take your class, log in on the biggest screen you have available. And sometimes you can even log in on a second screen. Somebody asked, how many people do you accept in a class or a lecture? And how do you make that work? How do you get to everybody? Any teachers? Mary?
I can take as many people. I think my Zoom is 100 people, so I can have 100 people in a lecture. And I take 10 people for my classes because I do a lot of prep work ahead of time. I have so everyone makes their own individual home, their own individual building. And so I'll have them send me pictures, and then I give them advice on, you know, the angle, things like that. Advice on the kind of fabric you want to look for. So it's a lot of back and forth before the class. It takes maybe about a month. And then, so because of that, I keep it about 10 people so that I can do individual one-on-one. And then when they finish, when they get to the class, they're really prepared for it. There's a lot of work that goes in ahead of time.
Right. And every teacher will have a different thing. Most of us, in general, from what I've heard from the teachers, allow 20, 23 or 4 students in a workshop setting in a Zoom class. Kind of just think of your Zoom class the same as you would a regular workshop. And then lectures can be much bigger. How many of you teachers, wave your hand at us, offer on-demand or open enrollment workshops? Wave your hand if you do. Quite a few do. Who wants to tell us what an on-demand class is? April, you had some. Do you want to chat?
So I'm just offering one right now, and that is the Japanese boro stitching. I'm new to online quilting, but jumping into it with both feet, and I absolutely love it. And so for me, it's great because especially with the with being able to be close up to the stitching and show everything that I do, it's very, very helpful. And what I've been doing is a combination of live demonstrations and also pre-recorded.
Okay.
So that is really helpful for people. And then I can go back and replay things.
Right. So a lot of us in our live workshops that guilds hire us for also make use of pre-recorded thing. An on-demand class is usually something you sign up for and you take the class on your own terms at your own time, and you get all of the content either at once or it comes out a week at a time. Open enrollment is when a teacher offers their own live class or lecture, but anybody can sign up. You don't have to wait for a guild. One wonderful way to use those, a lot of guilds right now are strapped for cash, right? They haven't been able to hold their fundraisers, their quilt shows. Look for an open enrollment class. Say, hey, guild members, whoever wants to sign up for this, let's all sign up for together. And then just have scheduled Zoom group meetings together where you work through that on-demand class. All right, who among you teachers have alternative scheduling arrangements? How flexible are you with your timing? Because usually we have like a 3 or 6 hour class, right? We'll get Julia, then Tina.
Yes, so I teach a couple of classes that I do open enrollment as well as for guilds, that we take the 1-day class and split it up into 2. So for example, the quilt behind me is my amazing abstracts technique. And this has been very successful to split into 2 sessions. So the first one we focused on design and the second on construction. And this way, if somebody's got a more complicated design or maybe they want to tweak it, they have a week in between, typically a week, before the second session, and we can email back and forth, and that way everybody starts construction with a design they're happy with. And that's been similar with several classes I teach.
Yeah, Zoom is great that way. Tina.
Hi. What I'd like to add is that some classes just lend themselves to perhaps 6 hours straight, but some really can benefit from being broken in 2. One example is this floral in the upper corner of my screen. I like to teach Whimsical Garden with the first session with the background, and then perhaps a few days or a week later, we work on the foreground. What's great about splitting up in 2 is that, of course, in any guild, there's a couple speed demon sewers, and that might intimidate others. If there's a break in between, that allows everyone to work at their own pace and catch up before the second session.
Thank you. I saw somebody else's hand up for a minute. Gunnel.
Yes, I only have one online on-demand workshop right now, and I like that because you can buy it and you can just watch it whenever you like, and you can follow through or you can stop and do something else, which is really great. And my lectures, in terms of time, they're usually about an hour with questions and answers afterwards. And I really like that. And I can fit into pretty much any schedule from across the world, really.
Great. Dana.
So I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. In terms of scheduling, I'm willing to work with guilds or individuals to do that. I'm right now trying to see if it'll work where I'm offering the same class as an evening class and as a morning class, and that those who attend would sign up for one or the other. But if they're multi-session classes, they're longer classes, it's more like a block of the month class. And so that's hard for people to be sure to make every session. And by having one on a Monday evening and one on a Thursday morning. That helps. It also helps in thinking about time zones, because I happen to live in the mountain time zone, and I've got a lot of quilt friends on the East Coast because I moved from there to here. And so trying to think about how do the time zones translate and giving people several different options. I also, which isn't the norm for a lot of teachers, but for some classes, I am willing to do a recording that would just go to an individual student for those multi-session classes who might miss a class, and that would help them catch up between classes.
Thank you, Dana. Julie.
I just wanted to add that some of us are willing, let's see, unmute myself. Can you hear me
You're
now?
fine. Yeah, we can hear you.
I want to mention that some of us, I think, are willing to arrange our schedules for international classes and lectures. I'm willing to, I'm still able to get up in the middle of the night if it's Australia or whatever. And I don't think everybody does that, but it's a nice thing to be able to offer.
It is. I know I just get the biggest kick out of having classes where I'll have a student from California all the way to students in London, all in the same class. It's so exciting. Let's say, Francis, I have a question for you. What do you think is going to happen with virtual offerings after the pandemic is over?
I think we're going to keep going with them, honestly. They're just so easy for us to do, and to be able to get into other areas of the country or other areas of the world. I can even see some of these classes being presented to a guild where you are displaying the Zoom, or the program on a screen so that other people can be watching it at the same time.
Absolutely. Michelle.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I'm president of the Modern Quilt Guild here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And before the pandemic, we were only able to bring in one teacher a year because of the cost. And right now we are probably running a teacher every month with doing it through the internet, through Zoom. So I think we're going to continue doing that. Our attendance has gone way up. People are really interested. They're joining because we have all these wonderful teachers. And we've had people from, teachers from Australia and India is coming up, London. We would never have been able to bring those people in. So I can see it continuing, and it's going to be really popular.
That's amazing. And your dogs are having an amazing.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Valerie.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I found one of the real advantages to having Zoom lectures is that you can show the process of making a quilt. You can take pictures of it all the way through while making it. And so instead of just seeing the final product, they can see your thought process and all the choices you're making along the way. And I think that's a real advantage to people when they're seeing your work.
Thank you. Sue, who is my partner with the Global Quilt Connection.
Partner in crime.
If you all only knew.
So we had an interesting question come up in the Q&A. If we book you for lectures later this year and in 2022, how flexible are you to switch from in-person instead of Zoom if things open up? Which is a good question. And my answer to that, and you can throw this out to the other teachers in the meeting here, but I think it will all depend on the individual teacher and where they're located and what they're, if they're willing to travel when it's time to go back, when we can go back to meeting in person. So I think you'll really have to check with the individual teacher and somehow write that into the contract that you're signing if you want that flexibility.
Right. I know that I've signed contracts into 2022, and a couple of them are provisional. It's like, yeah, I'd love to come, but if we're not able to, we will do Zoom. And I lost what I was going to say elsewhere. Other teachers, what? What is your thoughts on that, Gunnel?
I love to travel, so yeah, I'd be happy to come in and do a workshop or a lecture at your guild, wherever you are.
Right. You know,
it's fantastic because it means that, you know, if you don't want the cost of me going to California or Australia or whatever, you can have me on Zoom. But I'm happy to travel too. I love traveling.
Absolutely. I want to let everybody know that very soon the Global Quilt Connection website will include sortable lists that include the teacher's location as well. That's at globalquiltconnection.com. Susan.
Yes, well, you and I are on the East Coast. So, you know, if it's California, we have to allow time to book a flight and all that kind of stuff. So I love to travel also, but some of those things really need to be considered. You know, you couldn't really do that very well last minute unless it was driving. And even then, you've got to have at least an extra day to get there. So it just takes longer if you're in person, if you've got to travel.
Agreed. Let me give you a little thing. So having these Zoom classes, having virtual offerings for your guilds is a real gift to some of your members. We have guild members and quilters who don't drive at night for guilds that have night meetings. We have guild members who are hard of hearing and don't go to meetings anymore because they can't hear. We have guild members who can't or hate to haul all their stuff to a room to take a workshop in person. And Zoom has opened up, the virtual offerings have opened up their world again. It's been really wonderful. And just a little hint, especially if you live in an area where you have bad weather during part of the year. I mean, we live in North Carolina. It's beautiful and sunny and 70 degrees today, but next week we might have an ice storm. We have learned here never to hire somebody out from out of the area in February, because that's what if there's one ice storm a year, it happens on guild night. Many guilds are just permanently saying during these 3 or 1 or 2 winter months, we're going all Zoom permanently from here out. So we don't have to cancel anything. Dana.
Right.
So another hat I wear is I'm in charge of programs right now for Colorado Quilting Council, and we're a statewide guild. And so one of the beauties of Zoom is we are getting far more participation in our meetings, and especially in our workshops. We've almost doubled workshop attendance and registrations because of Zoom. So I do think we're looking already at how it's going to hang around, because when we're working on what are the hybrids, so that when we are doing an in-person meeting, we can still be Zooming to people on whatever side of the state we're on. We move around the state some, but you might have noticed if you've been to Colorado, we have pretty big mountains in the middle of our state. And even in good weather, that can be a challenge. So Zoom's a great gift to us. And I think everything Lyric said, I would totally second. And if you are a guild that covers a large geographic territory, Zoom is really a godsend.
Thank you. It's so true. So we know that we all dearly miss being in the room with our people, right? With our quilters. Y'all better watch out if you hire me in person, because I'm going to be the biggest hug monster, and it's going to be uncomfortable for you, but I don't care because I can't wait to hug people again. But Zoom has so many wonderful things. Do any of you teachers have a last thing to say before I have some wrap up information for our attendees? Anybody? All right. It's been amazing and fabulous and wonderful to hear from all of these teachers. We're so glad to be able to offer a way for you as quilters and as guilds to connect with the teachers who are happy and excited and ready to come to you through screens. There's some wonderful things about it. So to wrap up, please, please, please go to globalquiltconnection.com. First thing you do, globalquiltconnection.com. Don't send Sue or me an email. Go to globalquiltconnection.com. Look at the teacher spreadsheet. Look at the full teacher listing, which has all the teachers who have presented at all of our webinars. You can find links to their websites there. Go to their websites, read their websites, look at their class offerings, read the descriptions. Most of them, hopefully all of us by now, have our hiring information so that you can tell right away whether you can afford us or not. And we'll have all the information you need there. And then let me give you a tip, Guild Program Chairs. Approach your teacher as quickly as you can, because some of these schedules fill up really fast. We have teachers here who have had people approach them even before their video showed. We have had teachers who get 40 calls in the first 2 days afterwards. So please approach the teachers very quickly. Approach them with an email saying, we're interested in this. We meet on this day. Are you available on these months? If you haven't already looked at their pricing, ask them about their pricing then. But don't just come and say, tell me all of your available dates for the next 2 years and tell me everything about your classes. That's your job. Go to their websites and find it out. It will save you and it will save them time. Again, this recording is at globalquiltconnection.com, where you can view all of the recordings of our past webinars, where you can see this again, where we have one more webinar coming up this Friday, same place. You will get, if you were registered for this, you'll get a Zoom link for that tomorrow morning. Sue, do we have anything else?
I think that's it. Everything that you need is on the website. So go there first. Hunt around, and it, as a last resort, if you can't find what you're looking for, send me an email and I'll help you.
You shouldn't have said that. You're in trouble now. Yeah, so thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, teachers. You're amazing. You're wonderful. We love you. All the teachers, wave hello, wave goodbye to our wonderful attendees. Stay safe, stay well, and happy quilting. You can find recordings of previous Meet the Teacher webinars on this YouTube channel, as well as at globalquiltconnection.com. There you can also download information for all of the teachers with their email and website links. Thank you for watching. Sue Bleiweiss is the mastermind behind this webinar, and my name is Lyric Montgomery Kennard. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and you can see upcoming webinars as well. Thanks. Stay safe, be well, and keep quilting.